Many thanks indeed, and I'm personally very, very pleased to welcome everybody to this event this evening here at Congress House, and delighted that Rob and Ken's family chose to hold the event here. It's always a pleasure to welcome the friends of Ken Gill to Congress House, I have to say, but especially and perhaps unusually when their demands are so modest and entirely in line with General Counsel policy. Now, we're here to pay tribute to Ken, something the General Counsel have already done when they met soon after his death. Ken perhaps was part of the TUC establishment, though he would have hated me to say that. But he served on the General Counsel for a long time, from 1974 to 1992, but Ken would never acknowledge that he served anyone other than the interests of the international working class. He was President of Congress in 1986, but even in his presidential year, I think, he still kind of regarded himself as a sort of leader of the loyal opposition, though perhaps not so much of the loyal. Or as he himself put it, always in a minority and always right. Well, as I said to him on his 80th birthday, I agreed with him on the first one. Now, it's appropriate that we're meeting on the day that the General Counsel have held their pre-Congress meeting to decide their attitude to the motions that unions have submitted to next week's Congress. And I'm sure Ken would have loved to have been here in the Council chamber a little bit earlier today. He always enjoyed the nuanced discussions on the finer points of General Counsel policy, and he always appreciated the office's attempts to reconcile the occasionally minor differences that arise between our affiliates. Or as he again put it, not just seeking a compromise between right and left, but between right and wrong. Oh, Ken, if only it were that simple. But in a way, I think Ken's spirit is still here, sketching away behind these wooden panels in this council chamber, relishing the opportunity for the barbed but always humorous intervention. The current generation of union leaders, they don't know what they're missing. Not for them the struggle to concentrate on the major economic issues of the day, knowing that all the while Ken was there sketching away, capturing the essence of their appearance as well as their politics. And it was perhaps fitting that Ken's final visit to Congress House just a few months ago was for the launch of his book of drawings, of caricatures, hung, drawn and quartered. There are copies just outside the council chamber. That was, I think, a cruel and unusual punishment, but regarded as an apt title by some of his subjects. Now, much has been said about Ken over the past few months. I wasn't able to be at his funeral, and perhaps that was just as well, because I hear that there were so many there that the crematorium was full to overflowing, with Rodney Bickerstaff playing MC in a way that only Rodney, I think, can. I think Rodney may be looking to develop a new career. After the alternative comedian, we now have the alternative funeral director. Rodney's the man. But many people have spoken of Ken's wit, of his commitment, of his determination, and his loyalty to causes, whether popular or not. He was a craftsman by training, an internationalist by instinct, and a kind and generous man to boot. And he would have been delighted to have been with us at Congress in Liverpool next week. He would have relished the invitation we've offered to the leader of the Cuban trade union movement, Salvador Valdez Mesa, to address our Congress. And I know from talking to Ken how pleased he was that I took part in a delegation to join Cuba's trade unionists in their May Day earlier this year. And I'm sure that you would have wanted to intervene as well into the economic debate, particularly meeting as we do for the first time since the government brought large parts of the banking system into public control. Nationalisation coming back into fashion, I think he would have rather enjoyed. And he'd have been delighted that we're meeting in a city with such a strong militant tradition. We'll remember Ken at Congress as we do all the other colleagues who died in the past year. And not for the first time, I guess, Ken will be remembered alongside Jack Jones, Liverpool born and bred, and a giant of the trade union movement. And I suspect that Ken would quite like the fact that their former unions are now just one, the appropriately named Unite. Ken, you're gone, but certainly not forgotten, not by your family, not by your former colleagues, and certainly not by your many friends, so many of whom are here tonight. You earned a very, very important place, I think, in TUC history. Others may write it, but I suspect it'll be you that will have provided the illustrations.